evening in conversation with Helen and Ray Tress. The pair of them are old-time Valley residents, and we're really pleased to have an opportunity to learn a little more about them and their families. So we'll start off with Helen maybe. Helen, can you tell us where you were born and how you got to be in the Columbia Valley?
I was born in Lashburn, Saskatchewan. And first time I come to the valley here was in 1938, and my mom and dad come by covered wagon to Fort Steele. And then we went back to Saskatchewan. The second time I come was in 1951. And we come to Harrogate.
And what about you, Ray?
Yeah, I was born in a little log cabin behind Bristol. And Mrs. Nallberg was the midwife. That's where I started. And then I stayed in Bristol till I was 3, and then we moved down to Parson, and that's where I went to school, in the McMurdo School. I moved on to the farm when I was 9, I think, yeah, around 9, and stayed there until I was 20, and I helped run the farm and the sawmill. And then I was a projectionist and running the picture show in Parson, and her brother and them come because they were just new, and I met him, Rolly, her brother, and we were going to go, it was Friday night, so we were going to go to town on Saturday night. And I asked him if he wanted to come with us. And I said, you might as well bring your sister too. And we've been together ever since. That's how we met.
Yeah. But there's a little more to your courtship than that. I've had the pleasure to interview you guys previously, so I know there's something about Helen's family being at the Giant Mascot Mine,
Yeah.
and Ray making visits there, so maybe you could just...
Yeah, that was after we had been going together for a while. That was a year after, and he used to come to the...
If we were up and down, they moved to the mine, and then back down to the farm, and then back up to the mine again. So it was pretty inconvenient for me when they moved to the mine. That was a long ways to go.
But we stuck it out.
Yeah. And that's where we were married. It was up at the mine.
Yeah, that was 3 years after we met.
And then I worked at the mine for a year, and then come home and I worked at Parson Sawmill, run the gang saw in the Parson Mill until it closed down. And then we went out to Cummins Creek. I worked in the Bravery for a while, and then we went out to Cummins Creek. It was about 80 odd miles. I took our trailer out there, 9 feet of packed snow. Yeah, they had the sawmill out there. And then we moved to Field, at the Miscrew, 13 miles up. And worked there till 1960. Yeah, and then I worked for Merlin Dryer for 2 years, and then I worked for...
We moved from the Miscrew up the...
up the Blaeberry.
Up the Blaeberry for a year.
Yeah, we spent a winter in the Blaeberry, up close to the Mummery Glaciers with the trailer. So we were snowed in a few times at that time. And then I worked for Dryer, and then went to work for Bow River. I worked for them. I was driving cat for both outfits at that time, and I drove for cat for Bow River for 2 years, and then we started our own company. So I've been self-employed ever since. That was in 1963. Your turn.
And what kind of work did you do with your company, Ray? That for
We were
people that
loggers.
don't know,
We
yeah.
were one of the loggers for kicking horse. At that time, or kicking horse at that time.
You run all different kinds of machines. Like in the bush.
We had our own logging and trucking, and we had our own trucks then. Until 1975, and then we broke the company up and we went on our own. And I went trucking there until I hauled logs at Parson or Camano out here for a couple of years, Arkansas, and for Crestbrook till 86, I think it was. And then I got my own sawmill. And then I had my own sawmill until 1990. And then I had my own cat and my own loader and stuff, so I went to work for my son and worked for him for 20 years. Quit when I was 80. Run, the first few years I run the loader, and I got skidded with my own cat, and then he got big enough, he got his own outfit, so I just drove cat for him for the rest of the years, till 1980. Or not 1880, when I was 80. Yeah.
Do you think of yourself as retired now?
Yeah. Well,
Definitely.
Finally, Helen, he's retired?
Well, between looking after his kids and his grandkids, and if anybody needs anything done, they call on Dad. You know?
And Helen, you had your own entrepreneurial business going on for the past quite a number of years.
Next to new shop.
Yeah, we had my sister-in-law and I had the next to new shop. We were in that for, yes, about 6 years, I guess it was. We were in that. And then they moved away. Clara and Roy did. They moved up north, so then we broke it up, and then I started selling Napalm. And I've been doing that for 37 years. And I enjoy it, and I enjoy the people that I meet. That's why I haven't quit. Yeah. Even Ray enjoys going along sometimes.
Depends on where you're going, I'm sure.
Well, when I had my knee operated on, he drove me around. Had my knee replaced, and he drove me around then. And when I had an operation in Calgary, I had my kidney removed, so he drove me around then. And then when I got my eyes, the cataracts off my eyes, for 6 weeks with each eye, he had to drive me around then. Now it's my turn.
So you're off to Cranbrook tomorrow to have surgery on your eyes.
Get mine done now.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing what they can do for us nowadays.
Isn't it?
It's,
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit with some of the other people that we've been in conversation with about health care and you know, how things are so available to us now that simply wouldn't have been even 50 years
well,
ago.
if they had known, I think, what they know now, Roy would still be with us, you know, because Ray had the same type of thing. And but they didn't know at that time, and it was 4 years later that Ray had his heart attack, and that was 15 years ago, and he's still with us. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
it's
So can you fill us in a little bit on, you said you went to the McMurdo School.
Yep.
Who were some of your teachers there at the McMurdo School? Do you
I
remember?
went to school 8 years and I had 8 different teachers. I guess they couldn't stand me too bad. I never come back the next year.
What was their names?
Miss Lindsay was the first one. Miss Gerling, Miss James, Miss Lundeen, Miss London, Miss Gert.
Who was
What was
Mrs. Brazier?
Hey,
Mrs. Brazier?
she was either, I don't, she was sure of her name. It's Lundeen or London.
I don't know.
Dubin never said what his mother's maiden name
No,
was.
he didn't
No,
say
he
what her
didn't.
maiden name was.
No.
He just said she did teach for
Yeah.
a year or two,
It was
right?
either
That's
one
right.
of them two, and I don't remember which one. It's funny, I remember the first ones, but I don't remember the last one. What her name was. I forget.
And so how far was it for you to travel to
A
school?
mile and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to, actually we were in the Parson district, but it was 3 miles to Parson School and only a mile and a half to the McMurdo School. So we went to the McMurdo School, but we lived in Parson. Because that's where they had their school set up. They had the school kind of set too far one way because it made your relations a long ways to go to school. Yeah, and they are 6 miles, but yeah, that school should have been a couple more miles the other way. And split it up a little bit. We didn't have far to go, and some of them, like your relations' neighbors, Cartwrights, the name was. They lived down below you, where your grandparents lived. And there was quite a few of them in that family, and they took a white horse to school every day. They all rode, they rode the horse, and then the oldest girl, Mildred, and she led the horse, and it didn't matter what the weather was like. They were in school. And I don't know how they never froze to death some mornings, so it was so cold. And they weren't well off, and I remember the young boy especially, in just gum rubber boots and no stockings on that horse for 6 miles each way. And they had to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 in the morning to make it that far on the horse, and then back at night, all that way back at night. They didn't have much time at home. They would spend most of their time back and forth. It wasn't really fair where they had the school.
Did you go to school with any of the Arkansas?
No. No.
They were up on the bench.
Yeah, and then when they never went to school again after they closed the Mountain Ridge School down. They never.
Did you have any particular kinds of games you played at school?
No, just softball mostly. The school was kind of on a side hill, so was the best ball playing place. And we did play. That was mostly what we played was softball.
And what about you, Helen? Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Waseca until I was in grade 9, and then I come out here and I went to school in Parson. And I got my grade 10, and then my mom and dad moved to Giant Mascot Mine, and I took my grade 11 by correspondence up there. And then I got married right after I got out of grade 11.
I remember seeing pictures of you and my mom talking about you and her being involved in a pageant at Parson, the Miss Canada Parson version of
Yeah.
Miss Canada pageant.
Yeah, your mom was the first one. And then I was the second one. The next year I was. I've got some pictures at home of us, yeah. But we were always good friends. Yeah. Even after we were married, we chummed around with your mom and dad all the time. Did some pretty foolish things, but we enjoyed ourselves. Yeah.
So I'm sure that a lot of those foolish things probably took place at the old Parson Hall.
Yeah.
Yes, or we partied at your mom and dad's house
Quite often.
quite often. Yes. We all,
But there could quite a bit though before they were married.
yeah.
Harold had a lot of parties there quite often
But
before he was married.
on Sundays, we would all get together and usually go to Radium. You know, go someplace. And your dad had the pickup, so we all piled in, which we wouldn't do now.
All moving back.
Yeah.
Going back from Radium and along the back, and tie rod end fell off into the ditch we went. So we stole some wire off a farmer's fence there and wired it all back up again and made the rest of the way home. And your mother was pregnant then.
Yeah,
Probably
she
with
was-
you.
Yeah, it was with Colleen, and that was in, it was in the fall, because there was snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So it must have been just before you were born,
I was born in February, so
February, yeah.
yeah, first part of February.
And it's, but all the girls got in the front in the cab, and the boys all got in the back. Away we went.
It wasn't fair, was it?
You're asking girls whether that was fair or not.
But you know, we never stopped at a cafe or anything to eat. We took picnic lunches along. And,
Nobody could afford to.
no.
Found you with just enough money to get into Radium.
Yeah, we were all in the same boat. All of us were broken, but we made our good times, and we look back on them now, and we did enjoy ourselves.
Can you tell me about any specific events that took place at the Parson Hall that you were involved in? Fun or otherwise?
Well, I
Square
ran-
dancing.
I run a square dance club for how long?
Mm-hmm.
For 4 years,
No,
something like that.
no, maybe about 2 years. It was before we were married.
I don't remember.
And there was, oh my gosh, there was always 2 or 3 squares, so there was always
Yeah.
60, and
Our
up to
dad
30
was
people up there.
president of the Parson Hall all through them years. So we had the job of looking after all the fires and cleaning the hall. And every show we had to ride our bikes 3 miles down there to light the fire and get the fire going. Come back and then go back to the show. I put thousands and thousands of miles on a bicycle.
So whereabouts was your family farm in relation to Parson?
About 3 miles this side, that's where Razors live there now. And we got stuck to do most all the janitor work for a lot of years. Well, right up till we got married, and
Right, till 54.
right around that same time, and when we left.
So, Helen, you're not an only child. Can you tell us a little bit about your family, like who your mom and dad were, and the names of your brothers and sisters?
Okay, my mom was Dolly Hogan. My dad was Rolla Hogan. I have an older brother, I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And my oldest brother lives in Cranbrook now. And then I'm the next child. And then Irwin, he lives in Ladysmith on the island. And Christine, my sister, lives in Prince George. And we try to get together at least once a year. It's kind of tough at times, but we always try to get together for something. So,
Yeah, you're kind of all spread out, so
yeah.
it's not that
And,
easy.
I phone them all once a week. Yeah. So,
Good for you. That's a good way to
Yeah.
keep in touch.
Ray gets kind of fed up because my sister and I stay on the phone for an hour and a half.
Pretty much every night.
Yeah. And their kids, like Rolly and Elsie's kids, they're kind of spread out all over. And, well, they had 2 kids, but even the grandchildren, not now, they're spread out all over. And the same, Irwin, well, he lost his son to cancer, and his daughter is there on the island with him. And Chris's kids, one is in Penticton, and the other one is in Toronto. And we are so fortunate that we have all ours right here. Yeah, the only ones is Carrie, Roger's daughter, and Maxine's daughter, and they live in Calgary, both of them, one in Airdrie and one in Calgary. But we talk to them the same about once a week or whatever. And they have any problems, Erin has any problems, she phones her papa. She phoned him last night. She had a mouse in the garage. Couldn't get it done. But we're a little far away for her to get.
Oh yeah, but papas and nanas can do anything.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
yes,
even
yes.
over the
That's
phone.
exactly what they say, yes.
Yeah.
But no, we're very fortunate. And then Cole, he is he's a step grandson, and he is in Vancouver. But he's coming. He was supposed to be home this weekend. But it's hard for him because he's got family on both sides that he has to go see too.
Mm-hmm. So could you list off your kids, starting at the top? Tell us their names and where they're at today.
Well, there's Roger, and he lives out at Nicholson. And then there's Randy, and he lives at Nicholson. And Maxine, she lives in our yard at Nicholson. And Glenn, he lives in town here. And Susie lives at Nicholson, right behind us. And pretty well all their kids are right there in Nicholson too. And Glenn and Kira has three kids. They live in town. And,
They're was going to school in Kelowna.
Kelowna, yeah. But Roger's, starting with the oldest one, Roger's daughter is, what is she in Calgary? She works in Calgary. No, not seismic, what is it?
I don't really know. She makes big money anyways. That's all that matters.
And then there's, of course, Randy's boys. Jason is working here now. He was working up north, but he's back here now. He lives in Nicholson. And Cole, Randy's stepson, he's in Vancouver. And Kevin is graduating this year. And then we'll go down to Maxine, and Tyrell is the oldest, and he just got married to Megan a year ago. And then there's Erin. She's married to Murray, and Murray works for the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. So he's only home 6 weeks, and he's back there for 6 weeks. And they have 3 children, so that is our 3 great-grandchildren. There's Haley, Michaela, and Jackson. And then Glenn has 2 girls and a boy. And Carmela is just graduating from nursing school. She'll be working here in Golden, starting 7th of May. And Tiana is taking a bookkeeping course, and she's just finishing up this year. And then there's Raylan, he's in grade 11. And then we go down to Susie. She has the Kicking Horse Embroidery shop in town here. And she's got, Eddie is working there with her, her oldest one. And Rayanne will graduate next year, with same as Raylan. And that's him.
Wow. So you've got quite a crew to help out.
To help out, yeah.
Yeah.
And they usually all, well, one time they all come home for Christmas and Easter, Thanksgiving, but now their families are getting so big that they have other places they have to go to. But on the average, we get between 16 and 22 at a meal for them. And it's nice that they all can make it, you know. It's terrible, but we have to share.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've got their spouses to go to their places and that, you know.
You're blessed that your kids are all right here.
Yep, that's right.
That's not
Yeah.
the case with most families.
Yeah.
So
We're so lucky. We're just so rich
yeah.
because we have them all, you know. And if anything goes wrong, they're all right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Ray had his heart attack, and he was in the Calgary hospital, every one of the kids and the grandkids, including Cole, they were all there, all of them. And they stayed for 4 days until he got out,
Mm-hmm.
which was really nice. Yeah, they were all there.
Nice to have that support too.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
And they were all there because the doctor told me I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
showed
but-
them wrong.
I
Yeah.
showed him. He,
Said you
he
got.
said, Dr. Larson's old, wouldn't take no for an answer, and she got me into Calgary in a couple hours. He hired a jet and got me in because she said I only had 2 hours maximum to live. So she brought the jet in and took me into Calgary in a jet. And then that's the day they're all lined up for there, and the doctors don't like that when they shove one in. One's not quite so bad off, so they're pushed back. Eh?
Yeah.
And he was mad. Told me he was. He said, you got me between a rock and a hard place. Why? He said, they forced you in here, and you're gonna die anyway, and I gotta waste my time on you. And he said, do you smoke?
He's in.
And I said, no. And, you ever smoked? I said, no, I've never smoked in my life. Well, he said, if you spent your life not smoking, I'll waste 2 hours of my life working on you, but you're going to die anyway. You see? So the family figured I wasn't going to make it. Eh? And then I went back and seen him afterwards, and he said, you bigger? He said, I worked on you, and you never died, and I expect you to die any second on the operating table, and he wouldn't die, so we put you in a special place to recover afterwards. And he said, I had other patients. He said, people were coming behind, so I had to move you out. He said, I couldn't leave you there and you wouldn't die. So I moved you 3 different times, he said.
He was a very jolly doctor.
Oh.
No, it didn't sound like he was jolly, but he was. He was a very jolly, and he had a big grin on his face all the time. He was. He was one of the nicest.
And he must have been a good doctor.
Yeah, he was very nice. Yeah. Yeah. And the kids all got to go in and see Ray.
He was sure against smoking.
Yeah.
If you spent your life not smoking, I can waste 2 hours of my life working on you.
Ray, can you tell us a little bit about your family, who your mom and dad were and who your siblings were
Okay.
and what's become of them all?
Actually, they got a little bit of a history because my grandparents was booked for the Titanic. But they overbooked the Titanic, and you probably read about that, how they then loaded all they could get on, and then they shut the gate. Well, that's where my folks, grandparents were, was on the wrong side of the gate, and they didn't get on. But they had the passage all paid and everything for the Titanic. So that was the start of them. And then she come ahead on another ship then, or he did. He come ahead and then she come a little after.
Your dad was born in England, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they put the seismograph across Canada at that time, in 1909 or 10 or what it was at that time. So he worked his way all the way across Canada on that telegraph line, and then finally wound up in Vancouver. And then he come back in the 30s. Yeah, well, he went to school at Bristol. My dad went to school in this little log cabin out here for 2 or 3 years. Yes. And then he moved to Parson, and he drove the grader for years for the public government, grading the old government road there from Radium to going to Radium. And then they opened the bend in '39, so he got stuck to go out and so on there. So we never seen him too much. He was always, he'd come home about every 3 weeks. They had a little caboose, they called it, and behind the grader, and he stayed in that. So then he never got home to him. We had never seen him that much until he quit, and then that's when he went on the farm. And run the farm from then on. But he was in on trying to keep the bend open. When they first opened it, they wanted to do, because that was a Trans-Canada highway, but it was impossible. They couldn't keep that bend open with the machinery they had at that time. It would be a problem with the machinery they got today, never mind back in that time. And all the slides is what got them, man. You know, and when we lived out there, it was 9 feet of packed snow. You can imagine with them old graders back in them days, you know, trying to keep that open. But they gave it up. They couldn't do that. And it was closed until 1960 when in winter time. I think it was 60 or 62.
62 was when they opened the Trans-Canada.
Yeah. Because when we lived out there, we were 85 miles out. Mm-hmm. That was the end of the snow plowing. We kept the road open.
And then you got 8 siblings. You got 8 siblings, or you had 8.
Well, there was 8. We always said that the old man counted to 8 and then closed the gate. Because we always had lots of friends and stuff that stayed there all the time, eh? And then he had a sawmill with a crew too and stuff there, so that people always, some stayed there too. We always kidded him that he just held the gate until 8 went by and closed it. Yeah.
Tell them about your...
I lost one sister. She's buried in, we're just close to where Dubin lived, in that little place there under them trees.
Who was the oldest?
Pardon?
Who was the oldest?
Bert. Bert was the oldest. And then Roy and I.
And
And
then Blanche.
then, yeah, when she
Wonderful.
passed away. And
Yeah.
then Shirley. And then Dave, Judy, and then another set of twins, Joe and Joan.
So 2 sets of twins
Yeah.
in a family of 8. Wow.
Actually, a family of 9. Because they lost. So there was Bert, Ray and Roy, and Blanche, and Shirley, and Dave, and Judy, and then the 2 them twins
Yeah.
again. And tell them where they live.
Oh, they're kind of spread all over too. And Shirley lives in Calgary, and well, Bert's here in town. And the rest all pulled out. Dave's in Salmon Arm, and Judy's in Corona, and Judy or
Joni.
Joni is in Penticton, and Joe's in Sparwood.
They are all
It's
spread
probably
out.
all over.
Yeah, we're pretty well all retired now. And Joni's still selling real estate. She's done really good, really well off. Yeah, she's really good at that.
They've all
Her
done
and her
well.
son went in partners on it, and he drives a $300,000 car.
Yeah,
It's
he's,
like he takes big subdivisions and develops them too, besides the real estate. And, so they've both done really well.
Ray, you were saying that you went into business for yourself, but you were in business with, was it your brothers, or
Yeah.
who was it you were in
It's
business
in,
with first?
Another one, Magoon, Burn Magoon. So the company was called Magoon and Tress Brothers. Yeah, I was in '63, and we bought a cat and went to work, and went to work with your dad for a while. And then we moved out to Bend, and we did good out there, out on the Bend at that time when they were clearing for the Mica Dam. We had lots of hourly work with the machines, and done really well.
yeah, then they lost everything in the Sioux fire.
Yeah, we lost everything.
Lost all the machinery.
Lost everything. The fires hadn't done me any good. That's one reason I left Parson when I was there, because my truck burnt up there too in the fire. Yeah.
So who were the brothers that were involved in that?
That was my twin brother, Roy and Bert.
And
So, and then
Vern Magoon.
Dave, no, not Dave, Joe. Joe worked for us for a while. Well, like when he wasn't going to school. And then, Roy bought out the trucking end of it, and went on his own on the trucking. Bert bought out the logging end of it, and I just got to have like another cat and stuff, and went on my own on another. So we just went our 3 separate ways. Then Vern, he left, and he went to Revelstoke. And then they did that one. And then, 1975, I had enough of camp life. It was all camps, and we had our own camp. There it was always, and I was always the one that was stuck in camp all the time.
I even went out to camp with them and cooked
She cooked during the summer holidays.
during
when
the
kids
summer
went to
holidays.
school.
I had 4 kids and took them out and cooked.
But one of the reasons I left because I just got tired of that
It
camp
was in
life.
66.
Especially when you run your own camp, and then you got to be there all the time, you know, on the machinery. So I'd get home, maybe come home Friday night, Saturday morning, 4 in the morning, I'd leave back out again. I hardly ever got home. So all my kids grew up and with all the things they did, and I missed it when they were growing up.
Like when he worked in all the camps, and he had to stay in the camps, I went with him because we had our trailer.
Yeah, for the first 7 years.
Yeah. And
we
then
just
when
took that.
Roger started school, I had to move to town.
So one of the things that people in town know you for is your tractor collection
Yeah.
and your museum. When did you first start collecting tractors, Ray?
Well, 20 years ago, I guess.
About 85.
I don't even remember now why how did I start that?
We just started. He always liked any kind of junk. He's always like, doesn't matter.
I,
He's got a grandson that's exactly the same.
what was I going to say now? I forget what I was going to say.
Well, when Eddie was, he was 12 years old when he got his
Oh,
first.
that's what, yeah, now I remember.
It was him and
It was
Eddie.
over that Pioneer Club in Vernon. You know, the OK Ranch.
The spoil machine.
And then we joined the Pioneer Club. And that's when I started collecting, taking tractors down there. And at that time, there I could restore about 3 a year. And then now I'm lucky if it takes 3 years to restore one. Kind of works that way. But then my grandson keeps me so busy doing other things too, and restoring other stuff. Now, like last year, we restored seed drill and a binder and a thrash machine and all that last summer. I even did a little thrashing. And then I grew a couple acres of grain.
Yeah, when Eddie was 12, and Eddie's 23 now, so that's
Yeah,
when
that's what started. We were all collecting tractors from the Pioneer Club. That's I
You were
remember just that for
doing
me.
that.
That's why I started.
Yeah.
But I always collected stuff anyway.
So not only do you have a whole line of tractors along the front of your property, but you have your own museum.
Yeah.
What would you say some of the highlights are? The things in your museum that maybe people wouldn't know a thing about?
Well, I kind of collected everything. Backatans to cameras and a lot of old tools. Yeah. But
there's some stuff in there he doesn't even know what it is.
there's, like you probably noticed it from here too, that 10, 15 years ago, you could go to an auction sale and buy a box full of old tools for $10, $15, $20. Now you're paying over $100 for one wrench. And their price is going up. If I had it, like now, I couldn't do it because you couldn't afford to buy them stuff. Any auction, I can't buy nothing anymore at the auction sale. Go way too high. Yeah. But then that's when I got started on it. And in them days.
But he has old buttered churns, and he has the thing for fixing tires on the old Model A's. And, you know, he's got such a variety that...
You know, when we have the other farm machinery too.
oh yeah, there are all kinds of farm machinery.
And plows, and, which my grandson has all restored there. And, you know, that's all we did last year when we plowed it, was all with that old stuff.
Sewing machines, he's got, I don't know how many.
Quite a pile of sewing machines.
What else you got there?
A lot of cameras.
Yeah, you got cameras.
Kitchen stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of things
Scales.
that people don't.
I even got some scales off of you.
Yep.
But a lot of things that people don't know what they are. But people from Europe do. People from Europe are really, really interested in the old stuff. Really. Not only the older people, but the younger people too. Because everything was gotten rid of over there in the war and yeah, that's,
Holland is the most
yeah.
interesting. I suppose you find that here too. It's Europeans.
Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Germany, Holland, Denmark.
One thing that
I
they
got a
don't
spinning
want.
wheel from Denmark.
Yeah, you got that spinning wheel. But one thing that the people from Europe didn't know what they were, and that's the old ice cream makers.
Mm.
They thought they were butter churns.
You had, I don't know if you still have it, but you had an old stagecoach.
Yeah. Have how many buggies?
Hmm?
7 buggies.
7 buggies. And 1 sleigh. It's
Diplomat buggy. Then, last year, no, the year, what was it, year
2
before?
years. 2 years ago.
Rail and I, we painted up a tractor, each piece, and then I hooked, we've changed the drawbar on them, and I hooked the stagecoach behind mine, and he hooked the Democrat buggy behind his, and I packed all the groom and all the best men to the wedding in a stagecoach behind the tractor, and he brought all the bride and all the bridesmaid in the Democrat buggy. We got
That was
pictures of
for
it.
Lisa's wedding.
Oh, yes.
That went over really good.
And your line of tractors is always decorated at Christmas time with bright lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the last couple of years hasn't been so much, but before that.
Well, he wasn't feeling good the last couple of
No.
years, so he didn't.
Well, then the weather got us so bad, and it snowed in there. Both years we got them bad snowstorms at the start. That
You need to
makes it
start
pretty tough.
decorating something like that about October, beginning of October.
Well, we make the mistake of
You know,
waiting till Halloween, because you would do a different decoration, and then you get the storms and it kills you. But otherwise, before that, it was good. Like one year, it never snowed to put near Christmas, and I had it's all everywhere. The light bill for what, 1 month was extra of $400 extra.
Ouch.
Everyone enjoys it though, just to let you know.
Yeah, when everybody's driving around looking at lights, they always make that trip out to or
Yeah.
drive around your block
Yeah.
out there.
Well, since I don't think it looks near as nice as it did when we first started, because when we first started, we had all the big light bulbs, and now it's all those LED, and they're not as bright. I don't think they look as nice as the big light bulbs did,
Well,
but they are cheaper.
when we first moved there, what was that?
When we first moved to Nicholson,
Yeah,
that was in 1968.
yeah.
Pardon
We
me,
bought a new trailer.
1967. Glenn was 2 years old.
Well, we didn't get double wide, yeah. Well, then we bought the first double wide that come into Golden. Well, actually, I started there. I bought the first 8 wide, and then the 10 wides come out, so I bought the first 10 wide. They come in the end here, and then I bought the first 12 wide that come in here. And then we bought the first double wide. They come in. But it worked out that they made show homes out of them, so we got a heck of a good deal on them. That was the best money we ever made. At that time, And got the double wide, it was $28,000, I think, or something like that. And they give it to us for $17,000 if we'd make a show home out of it. Well, it only lasted a couple of weeks, which everybody was good. Hey, we had no problem with nobody. They always phoned ahead when they wanted to come, and there was no problem. And it was easy. There was never had a problem. But within about 6 weeks or 2 months, another double wide come into Golden here. Well, instead of coming all the way out to Nicholson, they just stayed the one in Golden here. So we made about 8,000 at that time. When you were making $400 a month, $8,000 to $9,000 was a lot of money for just 6 weeks work.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
worked out really well for us. But the hydro come, get back to that, they said, what kind of a stove you got in there? And I said, propane. And they said, if you put electric stove in there, we'll put you on a set rate. Which they did for, well, up until, it wasn't 4 years ago, it wasn't very long ago, it changed.
Yeah.
So all these years, we just paid so much a month. It didn't matter how many lights I put up there.
Ah.
And so that
Oh, that's about 20
one
years
year
ago.
I
Or
blew,
more.
I had so many lights going that I blew the transformer on the corner.
Yeah.
The lights went out. And they come and hooked it up and it blew again. And then, so they had to go back to town to get a heavier duty one to put in there. That's how many lights I was burning. I said, well, I don't know what's the matter. But I said, what's come with burning all these out? Because it's right just 100 yards down the road where it was. It wasn't that there was the big fuse deal on the power line.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the transformer. He said, I don't know. He said, all the women in Nicholson must turn their hot plates on at the same time. He says, he never caught on because my lights were shining. He never caught on. And I was blowing the fuse on the main line. But that's why I had so many lights, because then it started costing us money, because then they changed that system and you would back. And now it costs a lot of money to run them.
So, were you guys ever involved in any groups or organizations over the years? Just kept busy working and.
Yeah, just with ourselves.
Which, what was that first?
Organization.
Were you ever involved with any groups or organizations like the Horse
I
Club?
belonged
Or...
to the Elks when they were here. But they finished too, and but for years in the Elks were here, I belonged to the Elks. That's about the only one. In fact, the fire department. I was the one that started the fire department.
In Nicholson.
And right down to, I was all by myself. Went around neighbor to neighbor, and they're all around and finally going, because we get voted out all the time. And then I'd go around, I finally got a crew behind me, and it took 13 years. We fought that for 13 years before we finally got the fire department. And then I spent 13 years, I think it was, in the fire department before I retired from it. So I went in on board in that.
Yeah. How long have the two of you been married?
61 years in July.
My
Last July.
goodness.
This July.
Oh,
It was
oh,
60
okay.
years.
Oh, okay.
And 61 this year.
We've had the privilege of talking to quite a number of people married 50 or more years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting to see, in a small community, to see so many seniors staying in the community as they retire, and also to see so many people married such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
When you look around, generally, marriages don't last very long.
No.
So,
No.
you know, what would you say was the secret of your long marriage?
I don't really know.
He was the boss.
We just never had any problems, that's all.
And
No more than just get mad at each other once in a while, you know.
well, we still do that. But where, you know, whenever I could, I went to camp with them and things like that. I was always with them. I don't think, I never went on a or neither one of us ever went on a holiday without one another, you know. I did. I went to the Bahamas. I went a trip with Avon, and I went to the Bahamas without him for 5 days. But that was the only time we ever, and we always took our kids with us too, so never left them at home.
I think you're just, because you're just too busy making a family, have a family. And work, and like I say, I spent 15 years in camp, and wasn't home all that much. Until I got tired of that, and it was enough of that.
Yeah, I think more and more men are making the decision to work closer to home or to have their families closer to
Closer
them.
with them.
Yeah, rather than being away.
And
in
a lot, you
camps.
know, there's no reason why they can't nowadays with the trailers, mobile homes that they have. They have everything in them. And you can buy your own generator and everything, you know. You don't, there's no reason why the women can't go with their husbands. But then, that depends. A lot of people, women don't.
You had 7 years of washing with the scrub board.
Yes?
Yes, we never had no power.
No, we never had power, so I used the scrub board. And,
Yeah, we were, the years we were married, because before that there was no power in the valley. You know, actually, we were married 2 years already before the power come in, but then we weren't in the valley anymore. We left without the camps, so there was no power out there. So we never had power until we moved back into Armstrong's Trailport.
yeah.
And Roger started school. So we just the old gas wash machines or scrub boards or whatever you had in. Gas lamps.
Not an easy life.
But you didn't realize that it was that hard a life. Like when you look back now, I guess it was. But at the time, you're young. It wasn't really that.
And really, it was how everyone was living, right?
That's right. Yeah, everyone was in the same situation, so you just went along. You know, I don't know. It just didn't seem. Never had no TV. Half the time we didn't have radio, and you made do. There was so many things. You know. Just like your dad used to knit socks instead of watching TV and things like that. Well, that's what we all did. Yeah. And
When you come out, it was the first transistor radio to come out. They brought this out.
supposed to be the first ones.
We come in off the bend where there was no radio out there. We were too far out. No radios. So this transistor radio was supposed to work anywhere in the world. Yeah. You know, like them days, we only made 300 or something a month or something like that, and that transistor radio cost $85, and it was supposed to work, but it didn't.
No, never did.
We hardly got out of town when it quit.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
But you played cards. Well, you always went for coffee every night. You'd go to a different.
Well, we were out at in Collins Creek. It was how many married before? Out to four of us out there.
What, Cummings Creek?
Yeah.
Oh no, there was one. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the summer, Ricards used to come out, and Ronnie Pigott, Elaine.
At 8 o'clock every night, somebody had to have coffee on.
Yeah, we went around to. Yeah, there was lots of them. Did you? But you went to bed at a decent time too. You didn't stay up half the night watching TV. And you were up, everybody was up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
One morning, got up and couldn't open the door.
We had a
It's
trigger.
9 feet of black snow. Well, it was over top of the river, and we shoved off. So imagine the snowbanks and everything on. And we had a big wash house that was alongside of us, and the snow was all in there, jam. And it snowed 3 feet that night, and I couldn't open the door. Helen said, "No, what are we going to do?" I said, "I'm going to have another cup of coffee and wait, because when the mill starts up and the loader operator man isn't there, no logs in the mill, somebody's going to come looking." And they did, and they all come down and shoveled us out.
Yeah. We got chased by moose out there.
Yeah, one trip going out.
Yeah.
We were going,
8 hours.
yeah,
Go out there.
early morning, about 5 in the morning, I guess, something like that. We were going out, and right, we call it Higby's Rock. It's just in this side of Blackwater. There's a big flat rock there, and because it used to be back in '56, there was a big American logging outfit there, Higby, camped right there. So that's where the name Higby's Rock come from. And this big bull moose jumped out where they plowed the road with rotary snowplow. So it was like an 8-foot square, right? The banks were 8 feet high, 8 feet wide. Because you had to watch the mirrors on the side of your pickup. The logging trucks weren't too bad because they were higher up. You know, with the pickups, it's just hard to hold it's only 8 feet all the way. And it froze, and so you had to watch your mirrors. And this old bull moose jumped in the road in front of us. And we had the old Dodge pickup. Well, we had 3 kids. I'd
No,
chase
two
him for a
just
few
2
miles,
kids.
and he'd get mad. You know what they do, and they'd chase me. So it was all I could do in reverse to stay ahead of him back down that road again. And so I was trying to get the front of the pickup, and then he'd get tired of that. And then he'd turn around, and we'd go back the other way. And we were a big Foster. It was in toward spring, because the trucks weren't hauling at that time, and Surprise Rapids had washed out. Big slide come down and washed the road right away. Well, you remember old Surprise Rapids was about 1,000 feet straight down. The road was gone. There was none. It was about a 10-foot chunk of road that was gone completely. So now what were we going to do? Nobody knew about that. Like it washed out while we were in town. And when we went back, there it was all washed out. Well, Magnus was a trucking outfit then, and they had us haul logs from Boulder Creek, or lumber.
Hauling lumber.
Yeah, and,
Lumber.
it was just in there then anyway, because the road wasn't open farther. So anyway, they spilled a load of lumber there. One of the trucks did. The lumber was still there. It's all 2x6s. So I built a bridge across this little 10-foot short. And this moose went around the edge. You could get around to the moose was standing on the other side. And I built this bridge. After, are you going to ride across this bridge with me, or are you going to face that moose? She took the moose. She wouldn't pass on my bridge. It's like, I'm good.
Yeah, when you watch that truck go across there and those boards go like this, you know.
We made it.
But then, what would I have done if the truck had gone down and him too? What would I have done with 2 little boys?
And a moose.
And a moose.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty mad by this time.
Yeah, he took off.
Yeah, we got to Foster Creek, Big Foster, and he jumped over and down into the creek. It's the plows that plowed the snow, and that kind of went down there, so he had a way out, but he couldn't get out in that channel.
That's when
8
people,
hours. 8 hours we were behind it. It
Yeah,
was dark.
people
It was
talk-
dark in the morning, and it
Yeah.
was dark that night before we finally got
people
rid of
talk
them.
about moose chasing them in the logging trucks and that, you know, other people say, oh no. Yes, it's true.
Can you name some of the other couples that were out there at the same time you were?
I was trying to think.
Buster Pepper, that was
Yeah,
Scott.
but-
It was his sawmill and his wife's brother. They had their family there.
Yeah, and then Scott was out there. Alfred Scott lived out there.
Yeah, and then Rudolph Ghost.
Rudolph Grouse,
Yeah.
yeah, they lived there.
Ronnie Pickett was there for 1 year.
Yeah,
For, or I know, I don't, one summer I guess it was. I don't think they stayed the winter.
I don't think so.
She did, he did, but she didn't. She moved back to
He's,
town.
yeah,
The Grouses were there.
and who was in? George somebody and his wife. And then Ricard's, George Ricard, like Henry and Mo and all those, they lived out there in the summer. Yeah, she moved out there in the summer to be with him.
Yeah, well, I think Mo was still going to school.
I don't know if Mo even started school then. That's 50-some years ago, dear. Out there.
So would you two say you've had a good life?
I think so. I think we've had a wonderful life. When you look around at other people, and I think we've had a real good life. Whether we deserved it or not, I don't know, but I
Never
think
had
we
any
have.
money, but
No, we've been broke on. But
never worked out for me. I never made good money. I always had worked 24 hours a day.
you're, when you got a family like we have, you know, I
lost.
think we're
And we lost too many things.
one of the richest people there are.
I agree.
It's, you know, we always.
And what would you say your favorite thing about living in Golden, in this area, is?
Family. And friends, family and friends. I would never want to move away. I never, you know.
I always liked it in the valley, you know, when you go someplace else and it's crowded and you see how they travel around in the cities and they're all glad to get back to Golden. I can't stand
always-
that 110, 120 kilometers an hour down the main street in town. It is in Calgary. Right? Oh,
I always wanted to build a house at Mitten Lake. I love Mitten Lake.
I spent one winter hauling logs in Fort St. John. Went up there one winter. Hauled across the ice. The show they have on the ice truckers there, the show there, and that's what we did one winter. Yeah.
But we've been
But
from
we never had all the problems that they have. You know, there's different things they do.
from one coast to the other. We've been,
Yeah, the one year.
yeah.
We went to
And
Victoria and I stuck my feet in the water there as far as I could go, and then we went over as far as I could go in Newfoundland and put my feet in the water over there.
nothing was prettier than when we got back to the valley.
No, we all bragged about all
Yeah.
this beautiful, because it was in the fall we were over there, right? When all the trees were supposed to be changing and all this kind of stuff. It's just no different than we got right here.
That was in, what do they call it, 9/11, or
Yeah.
we landed in,
We landed in Toronto the same time that 9/11 happened. Eh?
yeah. We
So
watched
a
it
lot
on
of the
TV.
people were supposed to come didn't because they canceled all the flights,
Yeah.
but we were just ahead and we made it. Half the people on the bus didn't make it.
Yeah. But it was
So the
really
bus
something.
wasn't very crowded, it was only half as full.
Yeah, all of Canada actually that we've seen
But
has been
I wouldn't
nice.
do that again, though. Not on a bus.
A bus tour is good, and when you don't know where you're going, but now to go back there, I'd like to take the trailer and the truck and go back and take our time to see what we want to see. Like, they
And if you
stop
don't,
at
they
all
only
these
stop where
places,
they want
but
to stop.
yeah.
I think What did I count? 50 some odd gift stores we
Yeah,
stopped at.
the gift stores, it's,
It's
you
all
know,
the same
they,
stuff in every store.
yeah. But it
And
was a
you
wonderful
wouldn't buy
trip.
that stuff anyway. You said, what do you want to stop there for? But they did. And all the places I wanted to stop, they wouldn't stop.
But it was a wonderful trip, and we were,
We did the same. We went to Reno and then took a bus tour there. And then there was, go out to where the Bonanza and that show
Yeah.
was made and then all this thing. And they drove right by it. And they didn't stop. And then they
Yeah.
stopped at some picnic thing on the few miles the other side of it, and there was absolutely nothing there. Yeah. I don't like a bus.
well, I think it was nice, and because we did see lots, and now if we ever get the chance to go back, you know, and take a trailer, or just take the car and stay, we get to see, but,
But the
it was,
trouble with the one we went back east on was me and what they call his tour guide or whatever it was,
yeah,
didn't see eye to eye. So
no, you and her didn't, but
we didn't get along.
nobody else seemed to have any problem.
That kind of spoiled it a bit.
Well, thank you guys. I think we got lots of good information here tonight.
You can probably cut a lot of it out.
Well, we're going to put together 3 to 5 minutes to go into a public film, but the rest of it, we certainly are not going to cut any of it. The DVD that we give to you will be just exactly this raw conversation that we had. We won't pretty it up or do anything fancy to it, and that way you've got it to show off to your kids or throw in the closet or whatever you'd like
Yeah,
to do with
yeah.
it. But we really want to be able to keep a copy that we can put into the archives here at the museum. So down the road in 30 years, if somebody wants to know about Higbee's Rock, they can go back to that and they'll hear Ray tell about Higbee's Rock. And these are the things that we think are
Yeah, I don't
important.
know if the younger generation call it that or not.
Yeah, actually, we
it
interviewed
before.
some truck drivers here, and they referred to it as Higbee's Rock
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they still do.
I was in the yard, and so I was unloading all his trucks at that time when Higbee was working there. That's before the big mill burnt down in Donald. We lived there in Donald at that time when the big mill burnt down. It was in 56, wasn't it?
We lived in Donald.
Mm.
We moved out there in 56, in
Yeah,
the
I
fall of
forgot-
56,
I forgot
because
that.
Roger was born
Forgot
in
that,
56.
There was-
Yeah, he was about 9 months old when we moved out there.
The mill burnt down that night and it snowed 5 feet of snow. It seemed like
That
nobody
was
could get
really
there.
something, yeah.
The owner of the mill got stuck right at Moberly Station, that's where he was sitting. But he couldn't get out there. Pitch.
Okay, well,